What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of You for the Witch and the Beast. This is episode 11 and 12, also the final two episodes of the season. And with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. Honestly, I just felt I don't know. It just felt a bit unremarkable to me. It,
Yeah,
I don't know. It just kind of went. I mean, even though it was like a flashback episode of how Asaf and Guido ended up meeting for the first time, it just ended up. I don't know. It just didn't feel that interesting to me. And also felt like a little bit too predictable at times, considering like
I feel like the
how
problem
the
too
plot
is just that
played
with
out.
the relationship with Ashraf and Guido is that there's not really a lot. It just feels like there's not really anything that interesting between them. Like there's just not a lot of like chemistry or anything like that.
No,
Kind of,
they've always had this antagonistic, partnership
yeah.
with each other when dealing with certain jobs and involving witches. But
Yeah, I mean, it's like
th-
I mean, another series we're going to start talking about is the Spice and Wolf remake. That it kind of reminded me like this is how you should do characters that are well, not that they need to have like a romantic relationship or anything, but the thing with Holo and Lawrence is that they have like you immediately see that there's like chemistry between them. With Yudo and Ashaf, I feel like there needed to be something not exactly the same, but something like similar to sort of get people interested in their like I guess their relationship dynamic, I guess. But there's not really
yeah,
anything there because they're just like like you said, they're Ashaf is just very or not but Gudo is just very antagonistic and always kind of it feels like she could fly off the handle at any second, and she's always at Ashaf's throat. She's just kind of being the only reason she doesn't just kill him is because of like the that whole deal that they have. That otherwise there just doesn't feel like there's anything really between them at all. So I mean, it's just not really that interesting to watch. I feel like I can see where they're going with their relationship, but it's just not they're just not really compelling characters.
yeah. So the episode itself, it takes place. They said 3 years before the events of the of where they're at right now. I guess in the
Yeah,
present timeline. So Asaf, he's investigating another town, involving a witch, and then he runs into this little boy and girl at first. Of course, he starts questioning them until he runs into, of course, a woman carrying a giant coffin, which is revealed to be Guido. Of course, Guido, being who she is, she immediately just attacks this little girl, without without any any provocation or anything like that. So Ashraf, blocks her attack until like a dark like some monstrous figure just appears and then just attacks Guido out of nowhere. And of course, it's revealed that this young woman is revealed to be a witch who's been cursed herself. So reason being is like she can't talk or anything like that.
yeah, yeah. She can't speak. I think her name was Falvel or something. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, like it.
Uh,
So her and her brother, I guess, just live by themselves, and they've been, um, I guess they're kind of like upon as like as sort of like outcasts in the town because of her being a witch. The
Mhm.
townspeople don't really like them.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, I don't know. It's just I just didn't feel like this. The overall story was all that interesting, especially with the main antagonist, or antagonists in these two episodes,
Yeah,
which
I mean
turns out.
it's just the executioners again. Like we've seen them already, but they show up here again. Um,
Yeah, so it turns out like one of the executioners turns out to be a young boy who apparently was supposedly a good friend to both Falville and this other boy, until like the executioners start making their move to go after Falville, either like apprehend her or kill her.
mhm.
So as soon as the executioners or arrive at Falville's house, they end up setting it on fire, and Both Guido and Asaf, of course, step in to to stop the whole thing from happening, and of course, predictably, Guido ends up kissing Valval, which not only lifts Guido's curse to bring her back her original form, but it also lifts Valval's curse in allowing her to speak again, at least temporarily, of course.
Yeah, it. I was kind of disappointed with how like I don't even really know if you'd call it much of a fight, but I guess how the confrontation played out between Guido, Falvel, and the executioners. Because I mean, once Guido gets her original form back and Falvel gets her powers, it ends up being pretty one sided. It's not really. It's pretty anticlimactic. You know that the boy who was one of the boys who was revealed to be one of the executioners, he gets like set on fire or something, or he gets like thrown into a fire. The guy just like gets I think like Falvel like has some like commands or something to like
Yeah, she just like just she just like simply disintegrates this guy
yeah.
just by simply saying so, and then of course it's and then like Falvo uses her magic to end up healing her friend and apparently bring him back to life. Um, but I mean, of course, like I said, it just the way the story played out, just ends in a more predictable fashion, like I expected with all the other story arcs that we've seen before.
Yeah, I even though I like the manga, like I mean, and of course, like this part of the story I haven't read in the manga, but I don't know how it is in the manga, but in the anime, I just didn't really feel much of anything like watching it. It is just kind of unengaging. It's like it ends kind of the same way as some of the other little story arcs in the series, and it's like I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more, considering it's supposed to be like how they first met each other, but there wasn't really anything that interesting there, to be honest.
No, and then of course the episode ends off at such a weird point that
Yeah, I was like,
so it
it's so weird 'cause, like, yeah, they just introduced this new what was it like this place they go to, like apparently the like his this is another thing the series I don't feel like does very well too, is like the building aspect, because we don't really know much about it. So they kind of reveal some more about it at the end of the episode, about how like some of the different continents and how they're separated from each other. And that this one place in the world, there's just a giant gaping chasm, like an endless abyss or something. And I guess there's like some kind of building there where you can literally like go inside and take an elevator down to these different levels.
yeah
Yeah, I was just like,
and
okay, it's a really
yeah
weird way
and
to end off the season, but yeah,
yeah, and apparently it's a way for them to find to end up finding and what was it, Angela,
I
was it?
think so. Yeah,
Yeah, but then they just send down the elevator and that's where the episode ends off. And yeah, that's
yeah.
basically it. I mean,
Yeah, I hate to
I
say
was
it, but
hoping for.
even though I thought the manga is pretty decent, the thing with the manga, like I said before, is that it has really good art to kind of make up for whatever it's lacking in story and characters, but the anime doesn't really have that, and I feel like it just brings it down that much more. Honestly, like I hate to say it, I didn't really care much for the anime. I if I were to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 5. I just wasn't really that impressed by most of it. Um,
Eh,
I tried to give it a chance. I tried to like see where it was going. But unfortunately, it just doesn't like it has moments. Like I thought the reveal of Angela was pretty interesting, but right after that, they go into that past arc, and I feel like it could have been done better, but it just wasn't. Um,
honestly, I really felt like the reveal with Angela, the origin, which could have been the season finale, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
like
I don't
I
think.
was, yeah, it felt like when I was reading the manga, I was thinking like, oh, this could be where the season ends. But I mean, of course, they still had some more material to like they still had more episodes after that because there was more material to cover. So it ends up kind of ending in a bit of, it feels like in a bit of a weird place. Instead of where I feel like if it would have been more effective had it ended with the reveal of Angela, but of course, like there was, they still had more episodes. So I mean, I guess they had to cover the other story arc after that. Um, but yeah, it just ends like we've said. It's just it's just a weird way to end things. I mean, I'm not sure if they're planning to do another season, but if they do, I don't feel like I'm probably gonna watch the next one, to be honest. Um, like I said, I tried to give the anime a chance, but it just didn't really do much for me, honestly. Like, I mean, I would still recommend the manga, but the anime just, I feel like it should have been handled by maybe like a different studio or a different director or something, because it's just like,
Yeah, well, both entirely,
yeah,
because the director himself, I mean, he's not an expert in, apparently not an expert in, making these, the like the dark. He's not an expert like making dark fantasy series.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I just don't really have too much else to say about the series, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if they somehow make a second season for this show, but honestly, I just don't. I don't even have any high hopes for this show based on the way
Yeah.
it's presented.
Yeah, I feel like the only way that if they did another season that they could possibly like, you know, maybe like salvage it would be like, get at least if they're gonna have the same studio do it, like just maybe get a different director that's more familiar with this kind of with this genre. Maybe that way we could get something at least a little bit more like visually interesting, or just maybe a different different art style that's something. Well, I mean, this is the art style is fairly close to the manga, but it's just very it's just very bland. Like, I feel like if it had a different approach to the way it was directed or something, it could have been more interesting. But maybe we get somebody that knows more what they're doing in that area. They could do something there. But I feel like the series probably, I would be surprised if it does get another season, to be honest. Like, I don't think, I don't think a lot of people really watched this season. So I mean, I would be surprised if there is going to be a season two.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about this show
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.